كرما أخذ أماكنكم.
يأثر بشكل إيجابي على الشكل ونوصل إنه يستعمل الذكاء الاصطناعي في الردود عشان يعرف سياق. تقريبا يستعمل برامج
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. طبعا بحثنا بشكل مختصر في مجال الذكاء الاصطناعي، يبحث في النماذج اللغوية الكبيرة مثل شات جي بي تي وديب سيك، هل تقدر على الترجمة ما بين لغات البرمجة؟ فسوينا البحث بشكل عام. هذا النتاج برضو يحدد هل يمكن استعمال اللغة العربية أو الإنجليزية، فوجدنا فيه اختلاف أنه في اللغة العربية كانت النتائج أقل بشكل كبير. فهذا هو كان يبحث عن يترجم مثلا بين السي بلس بلس والجافا والبايثون ويقارنها ببرامج ترجمة من البشر الخبيرين. فوصلنا لهذه النتائج. اكتشفنا مثلا واحدة من النتائج كانت من الديب سيك كان يعطي أعلى نتائج متبوع بعد الأبلود، كان الجي بي تي كان هو الأقل فيما بين.
الديب سيك كان أوبن.
صحيح، هو أوبن سورس. أي صحيح. ممكن الآن.
السلام عليكم.
أنا رجل سلمي خريجة جامعة جدة، أعمل حاليا في إدارة المؤتمر. المشروع
وين
إدارة المؤتمر.
وين أي الذكاء؟
عمال سنة.
لا وين؟
هنا في جدة.
الإمارة ولا؟
أيوة.
الإمارة ولا الأمانة؟
الأمانة.
أي.
المشروع اسمه فلايت ستيشن. المشروع عبارة عن سمارت جاز ستيشن. طبعا مسجلين براءة الاختراع. فكرة المشروع
وصول صاحب السمو أمير محافظة جدة. تكرم الوقوف استقبالا لسموه. السلام الملكي.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير، الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور، الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت، فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور، ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير.
الحمد لله الذي علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم، وسخر له من العلوم ما يعينه على عمارة الأرض فيغنم، والصلاة والسلام على من زين ببيانه الكلام وأذهل بفصاحته الأنام، نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه الكرام، وسلم تسليما كثيرا. ثم أما بعد، صاحب السمو الأمير سعود بن عبد الله بن جلوي محافظ جدة، معالي رئيس جامعة جدة الدكتور عدنان بن سالم الحميدان، أصحاب السعادة والريادة، أيها السيدات والسادة، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. نرحب بكم أجمل ترحيب في رحاب جامعة جدة، ونحن نشهد انطلاقة أعمال المؤتمر الدولي الأول للإبتكار في الذكاء الاصطناعي وإنترنت الأشياء، برعاية كريمة من صاحب السمو الملكي الأمير سعود بن مشعل بن عبد العزيز نائب أمير منطقة مكة المكرمة، وتشريف من صاحب السمو الأمير سعود بن عبد الله بن جلوي محافظ جدة، حيث نجسد طموحات الحاضر ونستشرف آفاق المستقبل بالذكاء الاصطناعي وتقنيات الثورة الرقمية. اليوم نتبادل الخبرات ونناقش أبرز المستجدات، ونستعرض أحدث التطبيقات في عالم الذكاء الاصطناعي الذي بات يشكل أحد أعمدة التحول الرقمي العالمي. فأهلا وسهلا بكم جميعا حضورا ومشاركة وإسهاما في صناعة مستقبل مجتمع أكثر وعيا وابتكارا. رحلة سريعة عبر هذا العرض نرصد قصة هذا الحدث.
الذكاء الاصطناعي لم يعد ترفا تقنيا، بل أصبح محركا رئيسيا للتنمية والتغيير في جميع أنحاء العالم. في المملكة العربية السعودية يتصدر الذكاء الاصطناعي أولويات التحول الوطني ضمن رؤية طموحة تقودها رؤية 2030. من خلال مبادرات استراتيجية مثل الهيئة السعودية للبيانات والذكاء الاصطناعي سدايا، وبنية رقمية متطورة ومشاريع نوعية، تسير المملكة بخطى واثقة نحو مستقبل يقوده الذكاء الاصطناعي. وفي قلب هذا التحول تبرز المؤسسات التعليمية بدور محوري في صناعة الكفاءات وبناء القدرات. تعد جامعة جدة من أبرز هذه المؤسسات، حيث حصلت كلية علوم وهندسة الحاسب على الاعتماد الأكاديمي الدولي من المجلس الأمريكي لاعتماد البرامج الهندسية والتقنية AIIT ل7 برامج في مرحلة البكالوريوس، منها برنامج الذكاء الاصطناعي، مما يعكس التزام الجامعة بأعلى المعايير الأكاديمية والمهنية. في كلية علوم وهندسة الحاسب الآلي يلتقي العلم بالتطبيق، وتتحول الفكرة إلى مشروع والطموح إلى إنجاز. الكلية تقدم بيئة تعليمية متقدمة تشمل مسارات متخصصة في التعلم الآلي والرؤية الحاسوبية والأنظمة الذكية ومعالجة اللغات الطبيعية، من خلال معامل حديثة ومناهج مرنة وأعضاء هيئة تدريس بخبرات أكاديمية وعملية. يحصل الطالب على تجربة تعليمية متكاملة تركز على التفكير النقدي والابتكار والعمل الجماعي. ولا يقتصر التعلم هنا على القاعات الدراسية، بل يمتد إلى مشاريع حقيقية وورش تطبيقية ومشاركات في مسابقات ومؤتمرات، مما يعزز من جاهزية الطلاب لسوق العمل ويمنحهم فرصة لصناعة حلول واقعية تخدم مجتمعهم. الاعتماد الدولي من AIIT ليس نهاية الطريق بل بدايته، فهو اعتراف عالمي بالجودة ودافع مستمر للتطوير والتحسين، ويمثل التزاما من الجامعة بمخرجات تعليمية قادرة على التميز في مختلف ميادين الذكاء الاصطناعي. في جامعة جدة لا ندرس التقنية فقط، بل نزرع روح الريادة ونبني جيلا يصنع الفارق، جيل يؤمن بأن الذكاء الاصطناعي ليس مجرد أدوات، بل وسيلة لبناء وطن أقوى ومجتمع أذكى واقتصاد أكثر استدامة. هنا تبدأ الرحلة، وهنا يولد المستقبل.
والآن ندعو الرئيس العام للمؤتمر سعادة الدكتور مناجي بن حسن الكناني وكيل جامعة جدة للشؤون الأكاديمية والتطوير ليقدم كلمة المؤتمر، فليتفضل مشكورا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صاحب السمو الأمير سعود بن عبد الله بن جلوي محافظ جدة، معالي رئيس جامعة جدة، أصحاب السعادة الحضور الكريم، ضيوفنا الكرام، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بكل فخر واعتزاز نرحب بكم اليوم في رحاب جامعة جدة في انطلاقة المؤتمر الدولي الأول للذكاء الاصطناعي وإنترنت الأشياء، والذي يحظى برعاية كريمة من صاحب السمو الملكي الأمير سعود بن مشعل بن عبد العزيز نائب أمير منطقة مكة المكرمة، وتشريف من صاحب السمو الأمير سعود بن عبد الله بن جلوي محافظ جدة، وذلك تأكيداً على التزام وطننا العظيم بريادة المستقبل واستشراف آفاق الثورة الصناعية الرابعة. إنه لمن دواعي سرورنا أن يجتمع في هذا الحدث أكثر من 800 باحث من أكثر من 30 دولة، قدموا أكثر من 300 ورقة علمية تمت مراجعتها بمعايير دقيقة ليتم قبول 35% منها فقط، مما يعكس معايير التقييم الصارمة والتميز الأكاديمي لهذا المؤتمر. ويعد المؤتمر عبر 18 مسارا علميا متنوعا يشمل الذكاء الاصطناعي في التطبيقات الحية والأمن السيبراني والطاقة الخضراء والروبوتات والبيانات الضخمة وإنترنت الأشياء وغيرها من المحاور الحيوية. كما يرافق المؤتمر معرض تقني مبتكر مما يشكل منصة تنافسية خلاقة لشبابنا الطموح. أيها الحضور الكريم، نجتمع هنا لنصنع المستقبل ونغرس اليوم بذور غد أكثر ذكاء واستدامة. فباسم جامعة جدة نتمنى لكم مؤتمرا ثريا ملهما بالأفكار ومثمرا بالنتائج، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
أما الآن نستأذنكم صاحب السمو للصعود على المنصة لتكريم فرق العمل والمشاركين. الأستاذ الدكتور أميمة بامسك، وكيل تمكين النقل في الهيئة العامة للنقل. الأستاذ الدكتور سلوى الهزاع، الرئيس التنفيذي لشركة سدم ومستشار رئيس مدينة الملك عبد العزيز للعلوم والتقنية. الأستاذ الدكتور محمد القرني، عميد البحث والابتكار بجامعة جدة. الدكتور عدنان البار، ممثل منظمة IEEE. رئيس اللجنة العلمية بالمؤتمر الدكتورة منى الذروي. رئيس اللجنة التنفيذية بالمؤتمر الدكتور عبد الله بن معيض الغامدي. شكرا لكم صاحب السمو تشريفكم هذا الحدث. دقائق ونبدأ أول برامج هذا المؤتمر. السادة والسيدات، الآن نحن على موعد توقيع اتفاقية تعاون بين جامعة جدة ومركز الأمير سلطان للدراسات والبحوث الدفاعية. نستأذن الدكتور محمد بن إبراهيم الكنهل مساعد المدير العام للشؤون العلمية والتقنية في مركز الأمير سلطان للدراسات والبحوث الدفاعية، والدكتور مناجي بن حسن الكناني وكيل الجامعة للشؤون الأكاديمية والتطوير للصعود على المنصة لتوقيع الاتفاقية برعاية معالي الدكتور عدنان الحميدان. شكرا لكم صاحب المعالي واصحاب السعاده. We now transition to one of the most anticipated sessions of this conference, an exclusive panel discussion featuring pioneering experts who are actively contributing to shaping the future of AI and smart technologies. Please join me in welcoming our distinguished panelist, Professor Salwa Al-Hazza, founder and CEO of SEDEM, Senior Advisor of the President of CAXT. Professor Umayma Bamasak, Deputy Transportation Enablement Transport General Authority. Leading this insightful dialogue as the moderator is Professor Muhammad Al-Garni, the Dean of Research and Innovation in the University of Jeddah. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a warm welcome.
بسم الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. حياكم الله جميعا وشاكرين حضوركم. Allow me to welcome you both, Professor Umayma and Professor Salwa, and truly appreciate carving the time during your busy schedules to be with us at the University of Jeddah. So welcome to the University of Jeddah. I'd like to start by a general question that we can dig deeper as we progress through this panel discussion. Starting with you, Professor Umayma, just in spirit of this conference and given your transportation and logistics role, how do you see AI, IoT shaping the sector in general? I know you keep track of the advancement in technology around the world, so would love to have an overview in a couple of minutes.
I'll use both. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sabah al-khair, and thank you very much, University of Jeddah, Prof. Muhammad, and the organizer of the wonderful conference that is timely, actually, to discuss AI and Internet of Things. And it's always nice, it's always happy to be back home. So thank you very much for the invitation. For those of you who don't know TGA, or Transport General Authority, I'll give you just a brief about what TGA's role, and then we will discuss and deep dive into how TGA is playing a role in enabling AI in transportation. So Transport General Authority is the government agency that is responsible for regulating land, maritime, and railway transportation. By regulating, we mean approving regulation, policies, and monitoring their execution. The Deputy of Transportation Enablement, which I'm in charge of, is the newest deputyship in TGA that is responsible by its name, enabling. So the deputy is responsible for enabling the three modes of transportation by attracting investments, attracting new technologies, and enable them, and also to support studies and research and localization and capacity building. So now I'll take the pillar of the new technologies, and then see how these new technologies in transportation are coupled with AI. AI and Internet of Things is about receiving mass amount of data. AI algorithms are analyzing them, and then feeding the decision maker or decision systems to support them. And this play roles in transportation by reducing actually smart traffic routing, reducing congestions, and fueling the number of accidents, which in turn increase the quality of life. And also increase the impact or decrease the impact of the transportation in the environment. So this is in a nutshell, and then we will take it.
Okay, I know there is a lot more, and I'm keeping an eye of time because I know both of you have very pressing matters after we finish here. So we'll get back to the connection between the sectors, but knowing that healthcare and logistics are very critical to, and healthcare is one of the main function of smart cities. I find it very inspiring, your journey, Professor Salwa. Being a medical doctor, what got you to actually think and then make the leap to utilize AI, IoT, and other technology, being from a sector that is a bit conservative, and I'm sure you've faced this a lot. So just in a couple of, I know it would be a long story, but we'd love to have it in a couple of minutes.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين. First, I'd like to really thank the organizing committee for such a warm welcome. I mean, Jeddah has always been close to my heart, and now being here in Jamiat Jeddah, thank you very much for seeing such a great pillar. Your question, Dr. Muhammad, yes, I've been in the medical field for the last 35 years before I resigned. Why? I kept asking myself, and this was really very important to me, why can't I take my 35 years of expertise, put it in a package, and give it to the community? Why do I have to be between the walls of a hospital where patients come to me, and by the time they cut all this red bureaucracy, by the time they come to me, I'm an ophthalmologist by trade, they're blind. So instead of seeing them in the early, I'm actually seeing them when they're already past and advanced. This kept bothering me. And this was, by the way, before the COVID. No one knew, no one appreciated, let's be honest, about AI. I wanted to democratize healthcare. Why can't everyone have accessibility? Why do you have to be at a certain level? Why can't the janitor who sweeps our floors have the same accessibility as anyone else? So, at the age of 55, this was almost 10 years ago, I went and I did my master's degree. I don't know why I chose AI and Masters of Medical Management in the University of Southern California. And I had these ideas, I came back bubbling. And when I went to my mentors, just go open. Opening more clinics would mean I'm seeing more blind patients. So, Neom, I don't even know who Neom was. They were still in Riyadh. So I went to the CEO and I said, please open the doors for me. And he said, Selwa, what do you want? I said, I don't know. He says, well, why are you coming to me? I said, just let me navigate. So I spent a whole year in Neom while I was still working at King Faisal. I would come in the evening after I finished my work, just navigating. And voila, I was able to twin healthcare with AI and make them one. And I started working on solutions. And I can tell you, this has been a journey, an unprecedented journey. Can you imagine? You reach the age of 60, you're in your comfort zone, you're highly paid with the most prestigious. I was the chairman of ophthalmology for 24 years. in the most prestigious position and you let go of that. It's like jumping over a cliff, not knowing, is it water or is it rocks? And I can tell you, I am so fortunate that when I took this bold movement, leaving my comfort zone, leaving my well-established career and venturing into AI, which no one knew about. And by the way, this was in 2018, 2019. And now, with the help of the government, we're incubated, accelerated in Garage. I can tell you Saddam now is considered the most prominent health tech company or startup that actually helps diabetic patients. So that was my journey, and I guess the message I will give to everyone, once you start plateauing, once you're in a job where you know what you're gonna do the following day, when you know what's coming, get out. Leave your comfort zone. You need challenge, you need predicted risks, and most important, you need to change, and you need to disrupt. You have to, and that's what we did. I disrupted the traditional healthcare system. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Salwa, and العمر كله يا رب. Now, when people think usually about healthcare and transportation, they might not see the connection. Before we dig deeper to this, I would love to thank you, Ma'ali Rais, for being here. And I know you've had a busy schedule, so thank you very much. So going back to the point, how do you envision, because I see the passion of Professor Salwa of actually democratizing access, making it very accessible to healthcare, and transportation and logistics would play a massive role in that. How do you think about this, and how could AI, IoT, from a transportation perspective, smooth out the transportation to medical care for one and for every other aspect of life? What are the innovations that you are really excited about in this domain?
This is really very, very big question to answer, because it has a lot of components. It's about innovation, it's about accessibility, it's about integration AI into transportation. And we all know that the kingdom now is moving toward, or actually having a lot of projects for transportation happening on. For example, yesterday was the establishment or the launch of the public transportation in Tabuk, and today in Jeddah. And it is the 17th city to have a public transportation in the kingdom in the last 2 years. So now we are not talking about the traditional transportation. Now we are talking about smart transportation and enabling smart transportation for smart cities. And this endeavor is quite new in the kingdom. And we have noticed that the government stakeholders are working in silos to enable AI, Internet of Things, new technologies, autonomous mobility as well. So what we did at TGA and the Ministry of Transportation is getting all these stakeholders together in a committee called Future Mobility Committee, headed by the Vice Minister. And this committee's role is to aggregate all the effort, the strategies, the projects, and putting on a roadmap for future of mobility in the kingdom. And it has 120 projects. 16 of them is about enabling smart transportation, AI enabled, and one of them actually that worth mentioning is to identify 5 zones in different cities in the kingdom to be autonomous friendly in terms of infrastructure, physical and digital infrastructure as well. And this comes with autonomous trucks, autonomous cars, taxis, and drones, and so on and so forth. The second enabler is the sandboxes. So now we have 2 sandboxes. We have regulatory sandbox to enable new business models that is not regulated before, and most of them is actually technology based and AI based. The regulatory sandbox is to monitor these new business models and take them through the journey of solving the challenges and then getting them licensed and opening the opportunities for investment. Last week, we have witnessed, or we were there at CAUS to launch the physical sandbox, which is the living lab. That will be on the area of 1.5 square kilometer to test land, maritime, and aviation as well. And CAUS was chosen because it is the R&D center in the kingdom, having all the centers around, and also the OEMs for the manufacturing of the vehicles, Sear, Lucid, and Hyundai. The last one is the pilots. So we have been conducting many pilots for the transportation, AI-enabled. We have conducted autonomous shuttle pilot in King Saud University, and we have conducted the autonomous delivery at Hajj season last year. So now, having all these ecosystem together, transportation is working really toward the future to enable the transportation and to make it accessible. And probably worth two examples that Professor Mohammed, to link healthcare with transportation, is for route optimization to be used for ambulances, for a quick and safer reach to the patients that need these services, and also for logistics to use and utilize route optimization to deliver medical services and even organ and blood transplants.
Very much, Professor Umayma. And I could only imagine that this is music to your ear, Professor Selwa, because given your, just marrying the smart healthcare, intelligent healthcare products with smart autonomous vehicle, that would allow for further expansion. But I'd like to just take a more critical route here. What are the challenges that you see, be it patient behavior, be it regulatory, be it siloed, for you to realize the vision that you had for a very accessible, transparent, digitally first healthcare service in Saudi?
That answer would probably take me a whole day. Going through this journey, the challenges, the heartaches, the doors that were closed were unbelievable. But if you've got a will, there is a way. You just don't give up, because you do. I always like to break it into three. And I always give mnemonics. I couldn't find a mnemonic for this, but it's focus, it's prioritize, and it's balance. So when you start, your biggest challenge is you have to focus on an existing problem that touches patients. For me, as a healthcare, and by the way, it can be in any sector. It can be in transportation, as Professor Umayma beautifully highlighted. It could be in education. So our focus is, I needed to focus on a real going problem. And my real going problem was patients were not getting access. I had to find a solution, and that was the biggest challenge. To find a solution by focusing on the real problem and bringing it, that was a major. Who do you run into? One, you run into patients who say, no, I want to see a physical person. But wait a minute, if you have to wait a year to see a physical person, take what's available. So that, then you run into the physicians, especially the ophthalmologists. They believe that the AI is going to take their place. It's going to replace them. So you have to somehow tell them it's never going to replace you. It's going to only relocate you to a better position. Why should you be doing the routine, continuous, boring exam where I can get a black box, make it happen, and technically speaking, you will have more time for your surgical abilities. You'll be seeing more patients. I will cut the queue. So one is to focus. Second is prioritize. You really have to prioritize the AI ethics and transparency. If we come into data, remember you're dealing with patients. You come into privacy challenges. How can you send all the patients' information to the cloud? This was our biggest challenge. And the challenge was not because Saudi Arabia wasn't ready. It's a global challenge where there are no strict, or there is nothing to adhere by. There was no roadmap for healthcare regarding privacy. We in SEDAM pushed for that. And we were so fortunate that Sadaya, through the NEDMO, the National Data Management Office, actually gave us a certificate because we adhered. And in the transparency and AI ethics, crossing borders, you have to leave Saudi Arabia to go to another border. That was the biggest challenge. And we still didn't have the know-how. We still had to use solutions in the beginning outside. I'm happy to say, and I'm not allowed to say it, but I'm going to say it, my son is not here, our co-founder, that we have now localized a full Saudi actual solution with the Google Cloud here in Saudi with the servers. The last thing you have to, so we talked about focusing, we talked about prioritization. The third is balance. We all have these great ideas. That's a big challenge. What's the use of your idea if you cannot scale it up? What's the use of an idea if it stays in the lab? What do I care? What do I care if you have done 100 patencies? My question to you would be, which patency went to the market? If you tell me I have one patency went to market, you actually, what's the use of doing all this research? You're just improving your CV, get it out to market. So you have to be able to balance your research and be able to scale it and get it out to market to actually help. This is what Saudi Arabia is about. Why is Saudi Arabia, why is to the 2030 vision putting so much emphasis on the startups like SEDAM? Because they know we can break rules, we don't have to follow the red tape, and most important, you give me an idea, I'm going to be able to fly with it. I have my developers, I have my two beautiful AI engineers who have come with me, engineer Hind and engineer Ruwa, and then you have to take it out to market. That's what the 2030 vision about. So the challenges, wallahi, I could sit here, but I put them in a nutshell. The most important challenge in the last one is regulators cannot keep up with the pace that us as innovators, we are going at a faster pace than they keep. So I keep telling these regulators, make the laws flexible. Give it to us. Make the laws flexible. Make it, they can't keep in pace with us. Well, I have to break rules. So again, the challenges are so much, Dr. Muhammad, but I've sort of put it in a nutshell.
Thank you very much. And I'm grateful to have an innovator and a regulator or a representative of a regulator on this panel.
I second Professor Salwa. You cannot run as fast as the innovation is running.
Okay, and that's a good sign that innovation is, although I know there is a lot of, for example, sandboxing, our innovative policy and innovative regulation, which is very important. We'll have to wrap up in 2 minutes, but I would love to hear in 1 minute, what's the most exciting project, initiative, idea that you or your team is working on? Starting with you, Professor Umayma.
Of course, Professor Muhammad. Probably the most exciting project that we are working on at the duty. It's not the duty only. It's about. It is exciting for TGA. It's exciting even for DGA, for the ecosystem of the communication as well. Is the autonomous taxi or robo-taxi project. Please keep an eye. It's going to be launched in the coming 2 months, and it is going to be. It is going to be the pioneering project and pilot nationally to pilot and to test autonomous taxis in Riyadh, and it will hopefully because it is just in 1 minute. It is really challenging because it is the first of its kind, and it needs a lot of permissions, of agreements, of aligning with different stakeholders. It is not easy at all, but it is worth trying and it's worth pushing because it will establish the autonomous mobility in the kingdom, and it will be spreading over from 8 taxis in the first phase to 100 in 3 years. So this is the most exciting project so far.
Thank you very much. And I know, well, I wouldn't want to be in your shoes, Professor Salwa, to match the robo-taxi at a national scale as an exciting project would be a challenge, but I'm sure that you're working on even, given the healthcare, the impact possible must be, you know, very exciting. So in a minute, what is the most exciting project?
That diabetes is the #1 cause of blindness worldwide, let alone the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We know that diabetes is a pandemic. When the COVID broke, I went to His Excellency, the Minister of Health. I said, everyone is squirming about COVID. Do you know that there is a disease that kills 3 times what COVID kills? But it's a silent killer. And this is what diabetes is. People were going blind, and people were actually dying from diabetes because it kills 3 times. So what did we do in Saddam? We have now a solution that is actually distributed in 13 centers. الجمعيات الخيرية, there is one here in Jeddah, in Mecca, Medina, Rafha, القصيم. I started with عنيزة, and my mother gave me the hardest time. وشو لو تبدين عنيزة قبل بريدة? It's not up to me. Mom, it's not up to me. And then we have it, of course, in the Eastern Province, and Hayil, and we do it all free. Our goal is to reach 36,000 patients. We have reached, at the moment, right now, 35 patients. All the patient doesn't have to go on a plane, doesn't have to go to a specialized center, doesn't have to take his companion, brother, daughter, wife. It's all done locally. And when he goes in to take the photo, this has never happened. It takes technically 1 minute, and I'm not exaggerating, 1 minute for the result to come out. But the result doesn't just say you have diabetic retinopathy or you don't. Do you have vision threatening or you don't? We've gone another level where we can tell the patient when to come back. That has not been done globally. So the patient, you don't have diabetic retinopathy, you do? When do you come back? In 1 year, 9 months, 6 months, 3 months? We've gone another level. We Arabized it. We made our server talk in Arabic, which means the actual report comes to this old person, most of them are old, in Arabic. No one has done that. We've gone one step ahead. The global market reached 96.4. We reached 97. And by the way, as I'm talking right now, we are examining patients كأن سلوى الهزاع موجودة, and I'm not even there. You do not need a doctor remotely, and you do not need a doctor on site. I was just talking to Dr. Iman. Rydia gave us, we got the grant. We were very fortunate in Saddam. We got the grant, 5,000 candidates applied to come down to 20. We were one of the 4. So now we are actually going to predict, why should you wait for your parents to develop stroke? I can now, through the eye, through just a simple camera that is not expensive, we can actually predict if you are going to develop a stroke. Bismillah alaykum. We can predict if you're going to develop hypertension. Why don't we predict these diseases and actually avoid them before they happen? And even for Alzheimer's. The last, and this one is going to step a little on the taxi robots. Okay. Why should you have to go to a clinic? We are now in the process, your phone, we take a photo of your, we haven't done it yet, but we're in the process. You take a photo of your retina, the back of your eye, without ever having to leave your home. It goes to the cloud, and it will tell you, do you need to go to the doctor or not?
And that's exactly what transportation actually needs, is a very optimized, very streamlined, very efficient. Because, I mean, if you don't have to go to the hospital, then you shouldn't, because that will actually pressure the infrastructure.
Definitely.
Okay, I have to admit, I've never prepared for a panel as much as I prepared for this panel. Just giving the stature of both of you, esteemed guests. And I hope that I was able to match, or at least come close to what kind of value of added. And I'll just take the chance again to thank you again for your time and for truly inspiring discussion in both sectors that are very, very fundamental to the smart cities as a whole. Thank you very much again, and I hope for everyone to have enjoyed it as much as I did, and thank you all for being here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot from our bottom of our heart to Professor Salwa, Professor Umayma, Professor Muhammad for this enjoyable panel discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now about to hear a talk by Dr. Kamal Al-Zahir, a keynote talk. Dr. Kamal serves as assistant professor at University of Jeddah. He will deliver a talk on AIoT in healthcare, the future is now. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Azhar.
كيف اسوي سلايدز اللي حركه سلايدز اللي يريح من عادي كله عادي تمام السلام عليكم. نبدأ عادي؟ اي تمام. السلام عليكم. السلام عليكم. صراحة شرفنا أكون معكم. يعني ما شاء الله العلماء اللي معانا هنا كلهم مستوياتهم عالية، ويعني من جد وجودي معكم شرف كبير لي. أعرفكم عن نفسي، أنا كامل أزهر، أستاذ مساعد في جامعة جدة. حاليا شغال كفاميلي فيزيشن كونسلتنت أو فاميلي ميديسن كونسلتنت، وفي نفس الوقت ديجيتال هيلث كونسلتنت. كل المواضيع هتكلم عنها اليوم. لو ما عندكم مانع هتكلم بانجليزي، بس احتراما اللي ما يتكلموا عربي بما انه international conference. Everything I'm going to be talking about today is going to be something that I either worked on in the past or something that I used as an end user. So it's definitely something that's very interesting, so I'm really excited to be here. My focus mainly is going to be how we are using AI and IoT in healthcare sector. Throughout history, basically, or at least as far as I know, or as long as I can remember, medicine has been what we call, it used what we call a traditional model. What that means is basically that whenever someone needs the medical care, that's really when they go to the hospital, when they go to the doctor, which is not really supposed to be this way, but this is how it was designed in the past. Nobody cared a lot about how we can look at things differently. But at least over the past 50 years, this is literally how it was. Reactive, episodic, hospital-centered care, which means, again, reactive means only when you need it. Episodic, it means only one time, and probably you're not going to see your doctor ever again. Hospital-centered, this was basically the focus of how we are developing healthcare system, was really how we can make the hospitals better. And again, this is not really how it's supposed to be. The newer models now, which is the emerging thing, what's happening over the last few years, and I think really believe that, you know, COVID was literally like a transitional point. That's when people started looking at healthcare systems differently. Ever since then, things have been different. It's really a big crossroads when it comes to healthcare, and you can see that, you know, most healthcare services now have become more proactive, more continuous, and patient-centered. So patients really at the center of it, and we're basically looking how we can make it easier for the patient to get access to care instead of designing hospitals to accept patients. Proactive means, again, preventing disease before it actually develops, and continuous means you have this relationship with your doctor and potentially continuous assessment, continuous follow-up, and continue with the same doctor for a long time. Now we're taking it even a step further now. We're looking at healthcare system with a new foundation of adding AI and IoT, and I'll elaborate more on this as we move with this presentation. Again, throughout history, this is how it looked like. So basically what you're going to have here is in the past it used to be reactive. Currently it's becoming more reactive, proactive, and in the future it's going to be more predictive. How we can actually predict the chance of this patient developing a disease and how we can prevent it or even provide better care for that patient. Now, why are we talking about these two things at the same time? Why AI and IoT at the same time? AI, nobody can deny, it's an amazing tool, definitely helpful, saves so much time, and changes the way you actually practice or even do anything basically in your life. And you have also to remember, AI is literally nothing without data. And this is one thing that we always lack in medicine or in healthcare, is we don't have enough data to actually predict the patient risk of having certain diseases or how their healthcare is going to look like. And this is where AI, the IoT basically comes in. More data, better accuracy, better results, better clinical outcomes, medical prediction, literally everything's going to be better. So the more data that you have, and this is how we gather it from IoT, the better AI solutions that we're going to get. And this is what I believe what the intelligent healthcare system looks like. So basically, patients are going to be at the center of it. We're going to have connected devices to collect the data, use this data to actually analyze and come up with more like predictive analytics on the data that we have. And then after that, we send all the data to the physician or the provider so they can predict or decide what is the best course of action for that specific patient. These are the main areas that I believe we have a lot of potential when it comes to using AI and IoT in healthcare system. Chronic disease management, things like diabetes, hypertension, diagnosis and imaging, how we can minimize the workload on providers from radiologists specifically, and how we can have more accurate assessment and diagnostics. Remote monitoring, which is something also I'll elaborate more on details, surgical assistance, hospital operations, preventive care, CDS or clinical decision support systems, and predictive equipment maintenance. This is really kind of interesting because most hospitals don't properly utilize their medical equipment, especially when it comes to radiology machines like MRI and CT scan. If any one of you wants to get an MRI scan in any of the public hospitals, they'll have to wait for a few months, which is really insane. And we actually have some solutions from AI that actually can make it more efficient and maximally utilize those machines and lower the waiting time for those patients. Chronic disease, again, so the main focus is how we can make it easier for patients to get access to the care. Let's say if someone has diabetes, they will be seamlessly easy for them to actually order medication refill, order the routine blood tests. They will have 24-hour monitoring systems, for example. Same thing can be applied to hypertension or any other chronic condition, basically. AI and imaging. This is really one of the biggest things that people have been talking about over the past few years. There are so many studies that actually proves the effectiveness of having AI with radiology, not just for diagnostic purposes, but also for efficiency, productivity purposes. One really good example, I have one use case here, one case study. This is basically a Germany-based company. They had many solutions, but basically focus on how we can utilize AI in analyzing the image. So it basically tells you where is the areas that has the abnormalities. It also gives you accurate measurements. It means that you can get the organ size literally within milliseconds. The radiologist review. Again, most people don't pay attention to this. Radiologists spend so much time reviewing the whole image. It takes them, on average, let's say 10, 15 minutes just to review one CT scan or one MRI. With these tools, what they do is basically narrow down the areas where there could be an abnormality, and basically they can focus on that specific area, which means they're going to be more productive reading their images. Workflow optimization, which means the preparation for those patients, they may not need contrast anymore because we're using AI to actually accurately diagnose those patients. Another very interesting topic or interesting way of using AI and IoT is how we can actually transfer the hospital care to home. Trust me, if you know someone who has a chronic condition or has like one of those conditions that needs frequent hospital visits, this is life-changing. They can literally stay at home, get the same quality of service of healthcare systems or healthcare services that they get in a hospital at home. And basically what we do is we use some devices that can connect everything, and it transfers real-time data to the patients, to the hospital or to the healthcare provider, so they can monitor everything from the hospital without them having to even go to home to see the patient. This is also a case study. Basically, this was done during COVID. Everybody knows during COVID there was a huge shortage when it comes to ventilation or mechanical ventilation, when it comes to beds, ICU beds, and it was just hectic. So many people had so many trouble how they can manage their systems, and they basically implemented a solution that actually can predict what is the chance of this patient becoming worse, and basically they can estimate who is the one more deserving to be admitted to the hospital compared to the people that can be managed safely at home. And of course, they had a command center to monitor everything from their side. In surgery, again, it's also another big deal. A lot of people know maybe, again, small specialty or specialties that require some kind of micro movements or nano-size suturing or stuff like that, like ophthalmology, for example. This is a big deal. Right now, we have more precision. We have more, the chance of you having complications is going to be less. You don't really need to have a big incision that we used in the past. We can have a very small incision, get the procedure done, which means better recovery, faster recovery, and better quality of life even after surgery. Mayo Clinic actually did implement an AI solution for surgical cases. What they did was basically pre-operatively they had AI intervene to predict the chance of this patient having what we call a perioperative complication, which means, again, complication before, during, or after surgery. And they were actually able to lower the chance of people having complications because of the surgery just by using these AI predictions. Another very big deal right now, especially in the private sector. If anyone works in the private sector, they can know the value of this, but having AI to help you with hospital operations is a big deal. It does improve efficiency. It does improve the maximum utilization of your resources, whether it's time, people, machines, tools, literally anything. There was actually a case study from Duke University. They actually implemented a command center so they can track everything in the hospital, from revenue side, from operations side, from utilization side. Literally, they had full access to everything. This way, they will be able to tell, for example, how many empty beds do we have, how many ICU beds do we have, how we can manage or properly utilize the resources that we have, transportation of certain equipment throughout the hospital. So they had full access to all these details, so they can better improve their workflow and the efficiency of the services that they deliver. Another case study also was in Mayo Clinic. They actually developed an AI solution that can lower the chance of readmission. Again, this is a big deal, especially in the insurance sector, I would say. Readmissions means that you didn't do a good job before discharging the patient. Mayo Clinic basically developed this AI tool that, based on certain factors or certain criteria from the patient during the time of hospital stay, they can predict what is the chance of this patient deteriorating after they leave the hospital and coming back again. And they actually noticed there's a 44% reduction in hospital readmission, which is a huge deal, especially in the United States. Readmission means that they don't get reimbursement for the money that they spent on that patient. So this is a big deal for them. Another use case also, which is very interesting, Babylon Health is also one of the healthcare systems in the United States. They had an AI solution that can predict, based on the symptoms, they can predict the need of you to visit the doctor. Do you really need to see a doctor? This is something that you can be doing at home, or maybe you have nothing at all. You were just worried about nothing. So they actually lowered the clinic visits, unnecessary clinic visits, by 30%. Another big deal right now is wellness. Again, we always say prevention is better than treatment. If you can protect yourself from disease, it's better than having the disease and then having to deal with the complications and the management of that disease. So having these predictive or preventative health solutions mainly focuses on your well-being, your risk assessment, your metrics, like how many steps did you make throughout the day, how much water did you drink, and so on. And also, of course, monitor your sleep quality, your nutrition, for example, data, and all that stuff. And it can tell you, for example, what is the chance of you developing chronic diseases based on those metrics. Now, again, the biggest challenge every time that you hear anything about data or AI is going to be data security and data privacy. You have to make sure that whatever AI tool that you're using complies with certain standards when it comes to privacy and security, especially when it comes to healthcare or anything basically that requires a lot of confidentiality, patients, finances, and the aerospace business, for example. These are highly private or confidential information, so you have to be very careful with what you use. Another thing is basically some biases sometimes can develop because, again, if we took an AI tool exactly the same way that we took it from the United States and applied it in our culture is very different. It may not give you the same results, so you have to be careful also where are you, how the AI model was trained, and what is the population was used for it, and if it really can be retrained based on our culture and our values, basically. Regulations, again, every country has their own regulations, so you have to be aware of those regulations before we implement any AI systems. All right, thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate your attendance here and your support to make this an excellent conference. If you have any questions, I'll be around, so let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kamil Azhar, for this enjoyable talk. Now we're about to hear a short video that gives us a little bit about the contribution of our student in the computational college at University of Jeddah. السادة وسيدات الحضور، الآن بنستمع لمقطع مرئي يحكي بعض إنجازات وإسهامات طلبتنا، فدونكم المقطع.
في عصر يتحرك بسرعة الضوء، يصنع طلاب جامعة جدة أثرهم. هنا حيث تلتقي الطموحات بالتقنية وتتحول الأفكار إلى إنجازات. من جدة إلى هارفارد وكوالالمبور. رفع طلابنا اسم المملكة عالياً وحققوا مراكز أولى وميداليات فضية في تحديات الابتكار العالمية. بفكر سعودي وبأيد مبدعة أثبتوا أن لا حدود للتميز. على أرض الوطن سطروا نجاحات متتالية، واجهة ذكية، حلول تقنية للتراث، وتجارب تفاعلية متقدمة. في كل تحد كانوا الرقم الصعب. هي المرأة السعودية تقود الابتكار وتشارك في صناعة المستقبل. من تحديات أمازون إلى هاكاثونات وطنية، كانت طالبات جامعة جدة في الصدارة فكراً وإبداعاً. وراء كل إنجاز بيئة تؤمن بالتميز. جامعة جدة لم تكن مجرد حاضنة، بل منصة انطلاق لعقول تصنع التغيير. برامج، معسكرات وملتقيات، كل ذلك من أجل طالب يرى في الذكاء الاصطناعي مستقبله ومجده. من قلب جامعة جدة يخط شبابها فصلاً جديداً من فصول الريادة بالعلم والابتكار. نبدع اليوم ونقود الغد. جامعة جدة، ذكاء يصنع فرقاً.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Abdurrahman Al-Amoudi. Dr. Abdurrahman serves as a assistant professor in the Engineering College at University of Jeddah. He will deliver a talk on smart cities and IoT, the role of deep learning in wireless communication efficiency. Dr. Abdurrahman, the stage is yours.
Assalamu alaikum, and it's my pleasure to be here in front of you to talk about the smart cities and IoT. And thanks, Dr. Hammam, for the kind introduction. So good morning, everyone. I'm really pleased to be here with you today and share some thoughts and research on a topic that's rapidly shaping the future of our cities and communication system, the intersection of smart cities, the Internet of Things, and intelligent wireless communication. As our environments become more connected, we are facing growth, need not just only to move the right data, but to not only moving the data, but to move the right data at the right time in the most efficient way possible. This is where ideas like semantic communication, distributed functional compression, powered by deep learning become essential. So during this presentation, I will walk you through the transformation, starting with an overview of communication challenges we face in the modern urban environments. We will then trace the evolution from the Shannon paradigm to semantic communication and explore how techniques like distributed functional compression offer a more efficient way to transmit only what it truly matters. After that, I will highlight the central role of deep learning, followed by some case studies to ground these concepts in real-world applications. Finally, we will touch into the current research challenges, share a bit of the future outlook, and last but not least, wrap up with few concluding thoughts. So what are smart cities and IoT? A smart cities leverages digital technologies and data-driven infrastructure to enhance the quality of life for its citizens, optimize the efficiency of services, and promote sustainability. At the core of this vision is the Internet of Things, or as it's known as IoT, a vast ecosystem of interconnected devices, sensors, wearable systems, that collect, exchange, and act upon the data in real time. IoT enables the monitoring and control of urban systems such as traffic flow, energy grids, public safety, waste management, and environmental conditions. The value of smart cities is unlocked through real-time data and analysis, enabling automated responsive decision-making. For example, autonomous rerouting of traffic, dynamic lighting and HVAC control, automated alerts. Real-time automation not only improves the operational efficiency, but also increases the resilience and responsiveness of urban infrastructure. So why wireless communication matters? Wireless communication is the backbone of IoT and smart cities. It provides the scalability, mobility, and cost efficiency needed to support a massive number of distributed and mobile devices across urban environments. And when I say a massive number of IoT devices, it's expected that by 2030, there will be more than 40 billion devices connected over wireless networks. So technologies like 5G, Wi-Fi 6, and millimeter wave communication are crucial for delivering high data rates, low latency, and broad coverage. Wireless networks allow the city to scale IoT deployments rapidly without the constraints of physical wiring. They also offer flexibility to connect mobile nodes such as vehicles, drone, and wearable devices. This is essential in dynamic urban environments where infrastructure moves and evolves quickly to accommodate growth, emergencies, or changes in the user patterns. Despite all the foundational role, traditional communication architecture often struggle with limited bandwidth efficiency, high latency, rigid or centralized architecture, lack of context awareness. These limitations highlight the need for more intelligent and purpose-driven communication paradigms, such as semantic communication and functional compression, to meet the demands of future smart cities. So the classical communication framework established by Claude Shannon focuses on the accurate transmission of bits from a sender to a receiver over a noisy channel. The primary goal is reliability, to ensure that the received message is an exact replica of the transmitted message, regardless of the meaning or context. This model is effective for general purpose data transmission, such as transfer of file or voice calls, and it treats all bits equally, regardless of their semantic importance. As an IoT or smart cities evolve, there is a shift from transmitting raw data to transmit meaning. In this new paradigm, the focus on conveying task-relevant information rather than that helps the receiver perform specific tasks. For example, detecting an object or making a control function. Redundant or irrelevant features is filtered out, saving bandwidth or reducing processing overhead. This approach is particularly critical in bandwidth-constrained and mission-controlled environments, such as autonomous vehicles, remote healthcare, and emergency response systems, where timely and context-aware decisions are critical and more valuable than full data fidelity. Semantic communication moves beyond syntax to intention. It's paved the way for more intelligent and efficient systems, especially when integrated with deep learning models, capable of learning and representing task-level meaning. So before we bridge between functional compression and semantic compression and semantic communication, let's have a look in what is functional compression. Functional compression is a task-oriented communication paradigm that shifts the focus from transmitting and reconstructing raw data to directly computing target functions from compressed data representation, rather than fully decoding a sensor inputs. And here, so many systems are calling this type of compression the goal or task-oriented communication, which is a third level of communication beside semantic communication and the traditional communication systems. So the information is needed to compute at the specific time, or decision is made at the receiver, or we call it a fusion center. This approach is particularly well suited to resource-constrained, data-heavy environments. As the Internet of Things of IoT evolve. In typical IoT architecture, as you can see on the right-hand side, I'm not quite sure if the laser is working or not. Okay, so the edge devices such as cameras, sensors, wearable, collect data and perform lightweight local computations. These devices transmit compressed task-specific representation rather than full data. And then a central node, or what we like to call fusion center, receives partial information from multiple sources and reconstruct the desired function. For example, average temperature, object detection result, anomaly score, without the needing of the original data. These setups allow distributed IoT devices to collaborate in function computation while minimizing the communication overhead. So this paradigm is especially powerful combined with deep learning, which can learn optimal compressed representation and function mapping in an end-to-end fashion. Deep learning plays a central role in making both distributed functional compression and semantic communication practical, as it offers an end-to-end learning pipelines. Encoders at the edge devices learn to compress input data into task-relevant features. Decoders or function estimators at the receiver learn to reconstruct the target function directly from the compressed data. So the training is done jointly, optimizing the entire pipeline for function accuracy, compression rate, and latency constraints. There are several techniques or models have been used and implemented in this setup. Autoencoders, variational autoencoders, federated and distributed learning, transformers, and graph neural nets, or what we call it GNN. So let's take a look at few real world applications where these ideas are already making a difference. In smart traffic management, instead of sending full data or full traffic data, semantic communications allow the system to transmit only what's important, like congested segments, which significantly reduces the bandwidth. For environmental monitoring, distributed compression techniques can be used to estimate something like the air quality index efficiently. And in surveillance systems, rather than streaming full video feeds, we can transmit object-level summaries like a person entered the room or a vehicle stop, which is more efficient and relevant for the task in hand. And I would like to take this chance to show you some of my works that have been, alhamdulillah, supported and funded by Intel company. So in the right-hand side, we have semantic text communication, where, in the left-hand side, semantic text communication, where we have a transmitter and a receiver. And the idea is that the transmitter receives some text or sentences, and we have a bottleneck bandwidth where the receiver has to understand the semantic meaning out of these sentences, and without reconstructing a replica of the sentence sent. On the other hand, we have wireless deep learning engine for distributed functional compression over an ICA. When the idea is that, so we have edge devices or wireless nodes where these wireless nodes observe partial mixed signals, and they have to compress these signals transmitted over a noisy channel with a bottleneck bandwidth, and the receiver has to estimate or reconstruct the signals or the ground truth signals without knowing any of them, whether from the transmitter or the edge devices or at the receiver. And this is done using an independent component analysis in unsupervised learning setup. To show some performance highlights, semantic communication framework, we have a sentence transmitted and our proposed system, and you can see how they are very close in meaning together without an exact reconstruction of the sentence. And this is for the source signals estimation, where the ground truth signals at the left-hand side and the reconstructed signals at the right-hand side at the receiver. So, of course, with all the potential, there are some major research challenges and open problems we need to tackle. First, there is an issue of generalization and robustness. Deep learning models need to perform reliably across a wide range of environments, devices, and network conditions. Then there is security and privacy. Even we are not transmitting raw data, semantic information can still be revealed sensitive inferences like behavior patterns or location clues, as Dr. Kamil mentioned in his previous presentation. So we need a new, more advanced privacy-preserving methods tailored for semantic communication. Looking ahead, smart communication is set to evolve in several directions. For example, we are moving toward intent-based networking, where systems understand the user or device goals and adapt automatically, enabling more intelligent, dynamic communication. Another example is closed-loop IoT systems or ecosystems will become more common, using real-time feedback to improve decision-making, automation, and resilience across smart cities. In conclusion, today's wireless communication is not just about speed. It's about sending the right data at the right time as efficiently as possible. Semantic communication cuts out the noise by focusing only what's important, boosting task performance, and enabling smarter, context-aware decisions, while distributed functional compression allows systems to compute target functions directly from partial, compressed data sent by the edge devices without transmitting full raw data. Deep learning drives it all. Teaching the system what to send, how to send, and when to send, and bringing intelligence to the network edge. These advances pave the way for resilient, privacy-preserving, and bandwidth-efficient urban ecosystems, and form the foundation for 6G, autonomous infrastructure, and intent-driven services. Finally, I say, a future of smarter, scalable, and more responsive urban ecosystems where communication is not just about data, but about understanding and intent. Thank you so much for your listening, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdulrahman Al-Amoudi, for this brilliant talk. We're back to the medical field. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Basim Al-Beiruti, who serves as a consultant at King Faisal Specialist Hospital and Research Center in Jeddah. He will deliver a talk about AI in clinical medicine. Please join me in welcoming him. Thanks, Dr. Basim. يعطيك العافية دكتور المتطلعين إن شاء الله.
طيب، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. I would like to thank University of Jeddah for inviting me to participate in this high caliber international conference about AI and internet other things. Oops. So that's the Crown Prince. That's our leader, and we can read what he is saying. نحن نعيش في زمن الابتكارات العلمية والتقنيات غير المسبوقة وآفاق نمو غير محدودة، ويمكن لهذه التقنيات الجديدة مثل الذكاء الاصطناعي وإنترنت الأشياء في حال استخدامها على النحو الأمثل أن تجنب العالم الكثير من المضار وتجلب للعالم الكثير من الفوائد الضخمة. بالمناسبة صاحب السمو الملكي الأمير محمد بن سلمان ولي العهد رئيس مجلس الوزراء، وهو رئيس مجلس إدارة سدايا. سدايا هي الهيئة السعودية للبيانات والذكاء الاصطناعي. سدايا أنشئت في عام 2018. It was established in 2018. يعني 6 years before the world recognized that AI is vital. You see the vision, when His Highness put the vision 2030 based on AI, it's a real vision, it's scientific, and there are lots of data to put a vision. So he is a model, and he is inviting. If you go to the website of Sadaya, it's not for me. I tried to take online courses. They didn't approve me because age, I'm 57. So, but youth, you are the target of Sadaya. So you go ahead and benefit. They do offer free online courses, teaching AI, data, all this, it's for you. You are the future. We are the present and we will be the past. But you are the future. Please tell your colleagues about this. And Dr. Abdullah, he is the supervisor of Sadaya. That's some of the issues addressed by Prof. Salwa about this security. What Sadaya is trying to do is creating Sadim. So it's a special iCloud for Saudi Arabia. It's a challenge, but they are. If you look at the board members of Sadaya, they are all high-ranking ministers of security, interior, and National Guard, and all these ministers. You know, the COVID, the challenge we had, and we had the Tawakkalna application. Tawakkalna application is a Sadaya product. Nafad is another Sadaya product. And it's used for goodness. So people, they would like to donate. Now donating, you have to be careful, you have to abide with the regulation, don't give the money to unknown. So they created Manassat Ihsan. Beautiful example, trusted, supervised, and it will take the money, deliver it to those who need the money. All these are product of Sadaya. That's the hackathon. I'll tell you the story of مستشفى الملك خالد للتخصص للعيون. Prof. Salwa mentioned, so 3 diseases can affect the eye: diabetic retinopathy, macular degeneration, glaucoma. Waiting time was 5 years. For people to get their eyes checked, 5 years. With AI, the waiting time is done in 3 months, because we need to screen people and see which one they are at risk of developing diabetic retinopathy and blindness. So waiting 5 years is too late. As Prof. Salwa, she's a real example. She's a very smart woman, and she changed career from ophthalmology into AI. It seems I will do the same. That's the investment of AI. Look at the expected income, 58 trillion by 2030. It's big business. So those who are in AI, get ready for this huge income and use this for future of the country and your future. And that's the accuracy of using AI in ophthalmology, 94%. It's not perfect, but definitely better than human. For radiology, 91%. The human, they got 69. And in other applications. Drug development. Now we have a challenge, which is multi-drug resistant organisms. So what AI can do now, you give the organism, the bacteria that's drug resistant, and you feed it to AI, and AI will develop an antibiotic that will treat this resistant organism. So now there is a newly discovered antibiotic called halicin. Halicin is not discovered by a human. It's discovered by AI. So that's the product expected with AI. So the applications or AI success stories in Saudi Arabia, we have Tawakkalna, we have Nafid, and we have the virtual hospital, Ministry of Health. They do have virtual hospital. What Dr. Kamil discussed, it's not United States, it's in Saudi Arabia. They have virtual hospital where all this information can be transmitted. Radiology, cardiology, pulmonology, ophthalmology, all this, it is a reality in Riyadh. Virtual hospital, it's a success story for Ministry of Health. Visa application. Now, in the airport, people, they are wondering before they stamp, they put the finger, no need. Now you put your passport, AI is reading you. If there is any issue, you will not pass. Most of us, they are good people. Few that they will be captured by AI. But what's happening before AI use as visa screen, that they have to screen all. Now AI will tell this is good person, pass quickly. So it's now in Europe, in United States, in Saudi Arabia, a long time before that. Entertainment, electrical cars, and so on. Now, I finished about Saudi Arabia. Very proud of my country, 2018, and before they started AI. Let's talk about the world, how they discovered the value of AI. So last year was the Nobel Prize winners for AI. So the two Nobel Prize winners in physics were Dr. Geoffrey Hinton and John Hopfield. They discovered the algorithms. I'm not an AI person, Dr. Abdurrahman and the colleagues, but they discovered that they can use these algorithms to predict, to analyze, to create, to answer in short time. So that was in physics. Also, the Nobel Prize winners in chemistry last year were also in AI. So there is David Baker, who discovered the ability of AI to predict protein from messenger RNA, and Demis Hassabis and John Jumper. They are with Google DeepMind. They are AI persons. But their discovery for protein structure prediction. So everyone is familiar with COVID-19. It was a tragedy, pandemic. People, they are dying. They don't know what's the virus. So who discovered the virus? Human? No. They got the exact structure. They fed it through AI programs. AI gave the exact structure of the virus at messenger RNA. So the 2 Nobel Prize winners in Google DeepMind, the method they discovered enabled humanity to discover the COVID-19. The discovery of vaccine for COVID-19, how it was done, it will take humanity years, but through AI programs, humanity was able to discover the COVID-19 vaccine through feeding the messenger RNA structure. And it was for the first time that messenger RNA is being used to discover a vaccine. So that's another achievement in AI. What I'm saying, people, they are worried that AI will take the human rule and the people will be laid off. There will be not true. We cannot say AI is equal to human, but what we can say with certainty and evidence that a human with AI is better than human alone. So for me as a physician, with AI, ChatGPT in my iPhone, I have better prediction of outcome, treating my patients, application of all these benefits to the patient care. This is a real story. So this boy, his mother visited 17 physicians in the United States over 3 years, and nobody could reach the diagnosis. Then the mother discovered ChatGPT. She downloaded the application. She had the symptoms, the signs, the lab tests of her child. Within 5 minutes, ChatGPT gave her the answer. 3 years, 17 physicians, they could not reach the diagnosis. 5 minutes, ChatGPT gave her the diagnosis. That's what I'm saying. So, future wearable devices, Apple Watch, I'm not making advertisement, Apple or Galaxy or whatever, but Apple phone, Apple Watch are wearable devices. They can take all medical information, whether heart rhythm, whether blood pressure, whether blood sugar, whether many applications transmitted, as Dr. Kamel mentioned, and Prof. Salwa mentioned, you don't need the patient to visit. They can be transmitted to the control center, and then you will know which patient should come immediately, or we will send the ambulance, and which patient, relax, don't worry. And that's the future of medicine. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Basim, and thanks everyone staying with us till this moment. Hope that you got what you're looking for. Now we have a break, prayer break, Dhuhr pray, inshallah. Then at 1 p.m. we'll operate again at the side rooms as specified in the scheduling program. Thank you very much.